This is my wash machine I use for tanning hides. The first step when tanning a hide is to relax it. You want it to be pliable, like it was when you first skinned it. Now you can use Tide. Tide works great, or you can use you can get a special product. There's different ones. This is by Rattel's. It's relaxer, washer, degreaser. I don't use as much as they call for. I would use about an ounce. I put a low or a small load in this machine. Is about, it's a small machine. It's about eight gallons. So I'll fill that with some water. I'll put an ounce of that in there. Or you could put a cup of Tide, and then you put your hides in there and you let them soak until they're pliable. Okay, so before I tan these, I want to take these tags off. I want those metal tags in the pickle. See how stiff this is. I'll just stuff this down in there. Might as well go. Do that with each one. And then, the bottom that's in the relaxer will get soft. I'll have to turn them over until they get pliable enough so I can actually run the machine. Alright, so these beavers have soaked all night. Run the washer a few times to keep the lid open so it don't drain. Just run it through the wash cycle quite a few times. So they're getting quite pliable. Alright, so now I'm just going to close the lid. I'm just going to run it through the wash. Probably twice. Get them rinsed out, spun out nice before I put them in a pickle. Okay, so now I got my 3 beaver hides all nice and relaxed. They look just like if I had just skinned them. If they're good to slip, this is when they're good to slip during the relaxing process. But you don't want to under-relax them. If they're not nice and relaxed, and when they're done tanning, they're going to be all stiff on you. These soaked for about 24 hours in the degreaser, relaxer bath in the washer, and then I ran it about 8 times through a rinse cycle to get it all out, get them nice, and you gotta get, it takes a lot. If you get the degreaser, it takes a lot of rinsing to get it all out. You gotta get all that out so your water's running clean before you put it in a pickle. Okay, so my pickling bath is going to be, I think 4 gallons should be enough for these 3 beavers. So I've got 2 gallons of white vinegar and 2 gallons of water. So I give you 4 gallons of solution. For every gallon of solution, you want a pound of salt, non-iodized salt. There's 1 pound. And this is a 3-pound box. Make sure it doesn't have iodine in it. It doesn't have to be kosher salt. Just make sure it doesn't have iodine in it. And then you gotta stir that up and make sure that salt is all dissolved, completely dissolved. Takes a little bit of stir. Once you get that all dissolved, then you want to test your pH. pH should be 2.5 on the pickle. It's one of the most important parts of tanning is to get the proper pH. Okay, so my pellets were in this pickle for 24 hours, and I tested it this morning, and my bath was up to a 4.0 pH. So I pulled the pellets out, and took about 2 gallons of vinegar to get it back down to a 2.5. And because I added 2 more gallons of vinegar to it, that means I have to add 2 more pounds of salt. So I add 2 more pounds of salt to my bath, and I'll put the beavers back in, and I'll check it again tomorrow, make sure that bath is at 2.5. when you add all that leather to your bath, it has a neutralizing effect on it, so you have to constantly check it, especially after the first day. If you're only doing like one coyote or fox or something, it's not a lot of leather and it's not going to have as much of a neutralizing effect on your bath. So always keep an eye on the pH. That's very important. That's what tanning is all about. Okay, these beaver hides have been in here for 5 days, soaking in this pickle. That's plenty long enough. You want 4 or 5 days for beaver. They can stay in here for up to 2 weeks. Make sure it's stirred every day. By the way, always use plastic. Don't use metal for your pickle or your tanning bath. The next thing I'm going to do with these, I'm going to drain them out and I'm going to neutralize them. And then they're going to go into a tanning pickle. So I'm going to drain each pelt back into the pickle here, get as much of the pickle out of the fur as I can. And after they've each drained for about 20 minutes, I'm going to neutralize them. I know that this here holds about 8 gallons of water. So I'm going to use baking soda, an ounce of baking soda to every gallon of water. I got 8 ounces of baking soda. Okay, so I put these beaver skins into the neutralizing bath. You only want them in there for about 15-20 minutes. I'll just run it through the wash, let it rinse, and they'll be good to go into the tanning bath. Okay, now these beaver have been relaxed and degreased. They've been pickled and they've been neutralized. Now the next step in the process is to make a tanning bath. I make a separate tanning bath for my pickle. That pickle can still be used for other pelts. To make a tanning bath, you're going to use 1 gallon of water, 9 ounces of salt, non-iodized salt, and 12 ounces of quick tan. I use Rattel's quick tan. That's what I use. I'm not sure what it is for the other products, so you may want to check with them as far as the whole process. It's probably very similar. So after about 4 gallons of mixture, ought to be enough for these 3 beaver. My water has a lot of lime in it, so it's probably not going to read a 4.0. You want your pH to be a 4.0. I'll probably have to add like a gallon of vinegar to it to get it to 4.0. We'll see. If I do, then I'm going to add another 9 ounces of salt and another 12 ounces of quick tan to keep your ratios right. So these beaver hides have been in the tanning bath here now for 24 hours. You don't want to leave them in there more than 24 hours. Coyote, fox only takes about 12 hours. But thicker hide like a beaver, you go 24 hours. Now I'm going to take and hang them, let them drain out into, get most of my tanning solution out of them, let them hang, drain into here, and then they're going to go in a wash with a little Tide and some fabric softener and rinsed out twice. Okay, now these pelts have been tanned and washed, and now I gotta throw them into the dryer. I have a dryer, it's just cold air, with some towels, try and get as much moisture as I can out of the hair, and then they need to be oiled. Okay, so I put them in the dryer, some towels, just gonna run it just cold air, let her roll. Probably do that for about an hour or 2. Okay, the next step, with these furs, I'm going to oil them. I'm going to take this super soft oil from Rattel's and mix it in a glass jar, half oil, half water, and I put it in the microwave and get it nice and warm. And then I'm going to lay out the pelts and apply it to the pelts. Okay, now that I've gotten most of the moisture, water out of the fur, but the leather's still damp, I'm going to take this furrier oil that I've heated up and warmed it up. It's nice and warm. Just spread that out and just spread it all out on the, trying not to get it in the hairs on the edges here. And then fold it up and let it sit for at least 3-4 hours. I'll probably let it sit overnight. Just apply the furrier oil. I'm just going to use my hand and spread it out. Get it all oiled up like that. Now take and fold it in half. Like that. Okay, so these pellets have been tanned and they've been oiled. I let the oil sweat into there all night long, 12 hours, so it's totally penetrated the leather. You see all the oil on the paper here. So there's going to be oil in the hair. So I'm going to go through the wash one more time with Tide and Downy, and then tumbled, and then they could be put on a stretcher again. Okay, the last step of tanning this beaver here is going to be drying and breaking the hide. Well, actually, there's one more step, sanding. You could just hang the hide to dry, and then as it dries, work it till it's soft. What I like to do is put it back on the stretcher and stretch it out as tight as I can, and as it dries, it does it breaks it all by itself as it dries. I use the existing holes from when I put up the beaver. At the nose here, I'll put a bread tie through the nose and I'll wire that on. Cause it to fold over. When I hoop these beavers, I just think they look better with the nose folded over like that. Anyway, so I'll go ahead and hoop this up and just about. Okay, as these beavers start to dry, take my beaver knife and I go back and forth with it like this. And when I go this way, it'll slice it. So I just break that hide like that. See up in here? See how it turns white. And I'll continue to do this every couple hours with each pelt until they're completely dry. Okay, so now these beavers have been all broken, they're completely dried. So now I'm going to take my Ryobi osculating sander with a 80 grit sandpaper. So the leather's all done here. The leather side's done. Now this pelt has been through the wash and tumbled many times, so you don't want to just try and run that comb through it. Get yourself some detangler, some kids, this is Suave Kids detangler for hair. It's basically a leave-in conditioner, and you want to give it a good soaking. Really spray it down good. If you don't, you're gonna end up pulling a lot of the under fur out because it gets so it's been washed so many times it gets kind of matted. It actually has a pretty nice smell to it too. Gives the pelt a nice smell. This stuff can be used even if it's not tanned when you're putting up your fur to sell. It helps prevent you from pulling out hairs on it or breaking them. Also helps prevent singe because it's a conditioner. I'm going to comb the hair downward first. So I want to get that down into that under fur. And once you get it combed all downward, remember to flip it over. Remember to comb the hair backwards. Flip it over and I'll comb from the tail towards the head. Okay, once you get your pelt all combed down, it's combed down towards the head. Then what I'll do is what you do is put it against something and you just give it a good beating. Do that. It makes all the hair stand up. And you just brush it this way. Take a vacuum to it. But for the most part, that's done. Nice beaver. So I would take a vacuum to it and maybe comb it out again. Just to get all the dust from the sanding out of the hair. You see, it's a nice beaver. I don't see any guard hair spots missing or anything. Yeah. A few more to go. Now that's ready to be hooped. I say vacuum and hoop, and that's how it's done.